Hello and welcome to another video on the Greenwood Watch Modern channel, and today I've got this lovely little Seiko SKX in front of us here, 009, and this is actually a brand new watch. It's a new old stock and it's been sent in by one of my customers to do a couple of modifications on, including a double dome sapphire, new bezel insert, chapter ring, and last but not least a new crown. I'm not going to go for a movement upgrade on this, we're just going to stick with the 7S26, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to basically take you along on one of my little modding journeys. Now during the mod I'm going to shut up, however I will put a commentary over the top of the video after I've done it, because when I do mods I tend to go quiet and get into them, so I do apologise if you're not getting a live to live kind of commentary, but you will be getting one that's dubbed over in the final edit. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on, open this watch up, and we'll see how this turns out. I'm actually very hopeful. It does look like a very nice mod, so you will see it at the end, so let's continue. So first things first, I'm going to remove the strap. Now don't get me wrong, some mods can be done with the strap in situ, but in all honesty how quick these are to take off, you might as well. It just frees it up a bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove the bezel. I like doing the outer parts of the mod first before I get into the critical bits where dust and things can get in, and it also helps us when I'm removing the actual crystal from the watch. So there's the bezel off, and then I bring in the new bezel and see how it looks. So with this part, there actually should be an O-ring sitting in this aftermarket bezel. However, it looks like the O-ring isn't there. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm actually going to have to take out the O-ring within the original bezel, which I don't normally have to do. It normally comes with its own. But I'm going to have to do that with this one. So if you give us 2 minutes, I'm going to try and pick this O-ring out. So it only took us a couple of seconds to get the O-ring out. One thing I will say is make sure these are lubricated a bit for a nice smooth bezel action. Stick the new bezel onto the case, stick it into the crystal press, nice firm press, and it's on there. Quick check of the bezel action, all good. Next point is to take the case back off. So I use a 3-pronged case tool here, just a nice little bit of force on it, and it just pops off. Now I've put my finger doms on because we're now getting inside the watch and it's a climbed build, so I don't want to get my oily fingerprints all over that nice movement. So once the case back's off, I remove the case back seal and put it into a little container. I'm then now showing you how to actually take the crown off. So there's a little tab, as you can see there, I'm pointing to it. In the 0 position this sticks out, you just press it down and then pull the crown straight out, and as you can see it just comes out nice and easily. This is getting replaced for an aftermarket one, so that's going in the spares bin. Next, just a quick shake of the case and the movement should just fall out there, as you can see. And next we just stick it into a little dish, put the lid on, because I will be doing the case mods first, which I find the harder mods to do personally, so I do get all that out the way and done with. Firstly, removing the crystal. Now this is getting replaced by a sapphire, so just put it in the crystal press, depress it quite hard because it is in there quite a bit. This will then give you the crystal and also the chapter ring, which is held in by the crystal. Chapter ring is getting replaced in this mod, so this is another spare part, along with the Hardlex crystal, which yet again is getting replaced by the double domed sapphire, so that goes into the spare bin as well. With all that out of the way, I then get the modified chapter ring. So this is basically a mod part that you can get. Some of them come with these little pins on, such as the one I have here, which I'll show you now. As you can see, it's got a little locating pin on which fits into a groove in the case. Some of them do not have this, so you will have to glue it in and make sure the position is dead on, which is a bit tricky. However, this is simple, drop it in, find its place, job's a good one. Next step is put the case back on, so it basically locates well in the die for the crystal press. Some people don't. I prefer it. It also means you don't have any gunk going in from behind after you've actually got the crystal in place. I just leave that in situ after. So we put the crystal in, just lie it on, making sure I haven't nipped anything. Give it a nice press. I use a small die for this as well, so I can actually see the crystal going in, have no issues. It goes in nice and square. Once it's in, I then put the crown back in just to keep anything from getting into the case while I'm working on the movement. So on the movement, remove the hands. I then just make sure the watch is actually in the right position at the 12 o'clock, so just when it's starting to tick over. Once that's done, I then grab my handset. As you can see, a nice set of Merc hands. Just setting it again as well, because this is a 7S26 movement, it's still ticking away, so I thought better to just make sure I was in the right place at the 12 o'clock mark. Get me hour hand, put it into my modified hand press. It used to have a spring in, but I got a bit annoyed because you couldn't put the right amount of force on. I like to feel it. our hand just pops on, as you can see, and there we go. I'm just repositioning it on the actual 12 o'clock mark again before I put the minute hand on. So the minute hand goes on yet again, just a light bit of pressure, and that hand just should pop on. As you can see, I'm just positioning it exactly on the 12 o'clock mark again. I will test to see it's all lined up when it's all installed as well. So just a quick little bit of pressure, as you can see, pops on, and then it's all on installed. I'm happy as Larry. So with that all installed, I pick up the movement, give it a quick twist. As you can see, I'm checking that it's going to turn over dead on 12 o'clock, which it does. I try and get my movements to always turn over at 12 o'clock. It's a bugbear of mine when they're way off, which a lot of modders do. I then turn to 6 o'clock to make sure all the hands line up spot on with their indices at the o'clock mark. Next one is the second hand, and this is easy enough. Some people find this hard to do. I find it quite easy. Literally just position it in the center of the stack, push down, and there you go. Minute hand is installed and ticking away nicely. I just quickly rotate the hands as well, just to make sure none of them are contacting each other, which can be an issue. But as you can see, everything's happy as Larry, no contact between the hands, so I'm now happy enough to move on to the next stage of the mod. So as you can see, I've used another stem in this. This is actually a spare stem I had. This will have to be removed, obviously, before I put it into the case. I just give it a quick blow with my little puff just to make sure there is no bits of grit on the dial itself. So next is actually making the stem small. So this is the aftermarket stem for the aftermarket crown, which has to be cut to 14.2 millimeters, which I find is perfect, and there is the crown on the stem ready to be installed. So yet again, this is quite an easy thing to do. You just basically take the case back off, drop the movement in, and push the crown in. It should fit exactly as the original. So the only thing is, like I say, it's a bit of trial and error getting those stem lengths right, and I find, like I say, the 4.2 millimeters is a nice little pop away from the actual threaded bit of your crown, so you know it's actually disengaged from the threads, but it's not far enough away that you actually over kind of compressing the spring within the crown. So as we can see, the movement just fits straight back into the watch case, as you can see, and even at this point the watch is starting to look very, very nice indeed. So making sure it's all positioned right and the movement is actually lining up with the chapter ring, I then turn the watch back over to then install the crown, which, like I say, because I've already done the legwork and know that my stem is cut to the right length, it'll just literally go straight into the movement nicely. You don't have to depress the tab again, it should just lift up and click into place. I then check that it is in place by basically just bringing it to the first position, and then once I'm happy with that, I put on the actual seal for the case back, and then I loosely put on the case back as well. At this point I don't actually fully go to town on it, because there might be the case of I might notice something that I need to adjust and I need to take that case back off again. So at this point I just loosely put it on, check that everything's in line still and everything is working as it should, and as we can see there, I am pretty happy with that. Everything lines up and everything is working, because sometimes you'll put this all together and the second hand will touch the top of the crystal and then it'll stop. Next step is the actual chaptering, and as we can see, we've gone with this Pepsi coloured GMT style. So within the chapter ring you will also get some M3 tape, as you can see there, and there'll be a circular ring cut out of that, which then goes onto the back of the chapter ring, as you can see. Once it's on the back of the chapter ring, I just get a nice, well, I test it to the watch first just to check that it's all kind of nicely fitting and all that. Don't push it down. I'm just making sure the tape's all to town on that so it doesn't come off. Get a pair of nice fine nosed tweezers there just to pull the backing off the M3 tape, which can be a bit tricky because, like I say, sometimes you don't know whether the actual tape's coming away from the backing or coming away from the actual insert itself. It can, like I say, it can be a bit tricky, but once you've got it off, it is good to go. Now, next step is rotate the actual bezel and then rotate the opposite way to the actual bezel action, so clockwise. This makes sure that the ratchet is fully engaged so you can line it up precisely every time. You only really get one go of this, because once you fully go to town and press it onto the bezel, this bezel insert is not coming off without wrecking the tape underneath, so make sure you've got it all lined up before you go to town pressing the bezel insert down. So once I go around it a couple of times, making sure that I've got even pressure all the way around the bezel insert and it's fully engaged with the bottom of the bezel, I am happy. And look at that mod, it's come out absolutely spectacular in my mind. Just look at that. I love the metallicness of that bezel insert, and to be honest, this is a watch I would dare say I would wear on a daily basis if it was my own. So moving on, after I've done all this, it's then just putting all the ancillaries back onto the watch, such as the strap, and basically making it like it was originally. I'm also going to fully tighten the case back down now, because I'm fully happy that everything in the watch is actually all sorted and done. And with that all done, install the strap and the mod's complete. What can I say? It does look absolutely spectacular. So with that, let's get on to my final conclusions. And there we are, folks, my very first video documenting one of my client builds. And what can I say? It's turned out absolutely gorgeous in my mind. It's drop dead gorgeous. Now, I can't take credit for the way this watch looks, because the client sent us over all the parts. So it was his vision. All I've done is put it all together and turned it into a reality. So he has good tastes in my mind. So just to go over the mods I've done, I've put a sound crown on the end here. I have got a Submariner style bezel with a 24-hour GMT bezel insert in the Pepsi style, which then matches straight into this lovely double domed sapphire on top with a nice bit of blue here on it. I've got that lovely contrasting chapter ring in there. The silver against the 009's dark blue dial looks absolutely superb, and in my mind is the best part about this watch. I do like that. And then we have, just to finish it off, the Merc handset in there with the second hand with that little bit of red on it just to boot. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not going to get into the argument about 24-hour GMT bezel inserts on non-GMT watches, because in all honesty, it's your watch. You can do what you want, and I would wear this any day of the week. If you are hooked up on that a bit, get a 12-hour bezel in the same style, which you can get. And personally, I might actually go for that over the 24 hours, but that's just my own personal preference. So please put in the comments, do you like this mod? Would you have this on your wrist, or is it just not your cup of tea? Like I say, please answer below. If you have liked this video, please subscribe, press that bell button so you get notifications of future videos that come up on my channel. And as always, keep safe, and I will see you soon, folks.